So people often ask me, what are feral bees? Aren't they just wild bees? Well, no, these are not wild bees. This species here is Apis mellifera, the European honeybee, and is an introduced species in Australia as well as many other parts of the world. And when a species is introduced as a managed species and then goes out into the wild, it is not a wild species, it is feral. So if we're thinking about, for example, pigs, they're an introduced species in Australia, like honeybees, introduced as livestock species. When they're out in the wild, they're feral. And similarly, as with pigs or cats or cattle, when a livestock species, an introduced species, is no longer where it should be in its domesticated place, when they're out in the wild and they're feral, they can cause harm to wildlife. And that is also the case with feral Apis mellifera. They can compete with native animals that need nectar and pollen for food, such as native bees, but also many native birds in Australia and possums. And they can also take up habitat, like nesting habitat of animals that require hollows, for example. So these are not good for the environment, and for beekeepers, they really should be responsible and ensure that their colonies don't swarm and become feral. So just like a cat owner needs to be responsible and make sure that their cats don't go out into the wild or don't go out and reproduce, have litters in the wild, we need to make sure that they manage their species accordingly.